trailer for the upcoming limited series Obi-Wan Kenobi was released this past week. It takes place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan Kenobi is staked out on Tatooine looking over a growing Luke Skywalker as he's hunted by forces of the Galactic Empire who are hellbent on destroying the last remains of the Jedi Order. It's weird, like, anytime I've heard news of, like, a certain limited series being announced, I always question, like, the motives. I'm always like, okay, now they're just taking whatever they can out of stuff they've already made and just milking it for all it's worth, right? But when it comes to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character. So, of course, like, I'm excited with that. And I love that Ewan McGregor is returning to play Obi-Wan, because if you look back at the prequel trilogy, there were a lot of notable flaws in that trilogy. His casting, his performance is, I think, the thing that stands out the most, that I feel like is really the best part of that entire prequel trilogy. Despite some of the lines that he was given to work with, he really made the most of his casting and his character. And his casting for this series is perfect considering the timeline of the show's story, right? It's after the prequel trilogy, before the original trilogy. It's 17 years since Revenge of the Sith. Like, obviously, Ewan McGregor is, he's looking a little older. Still looking fine, don't worry. But he's looking a little older. So I think it's a good time for him to get back into this again. So for him alone, like, I'm at least excited for him and his character.
Yeah, I'm actually, like, the Kenobi trailer, when I first saw it, honestly, I'm impressed. It looks really interesting. I like the Inquisitors that they're using. I think the overall tone seems the most fitting. And I remember Ewan McGregor saying that this is a very dark Obi-Wan. And it makes sense. This is after Revenge of the Sith, so a lot of stuff has gone down. This is supposed to be a very, almost, not necessarily too depressed, but a very dark, gritty Obi-Wan that we're going to eventually see becoming the more hopeful one that we see in the original trilogy. So with that in mind, I am very excited. I am very interested. And I really hope they knock it out of the park, because I think a lot of people, right, I think over time, it seemed, especially with Mandalorian, people were enjoying it, right? And then Book of Boba Fett happened, and then all of a sudden it's kind of a mixed bag. So now when you have Kenobi coming out, and again, still leaning on the nostalgia, essentially, people are a bit worried because of what happened with, I guess, Book of Boba Fett to a certain degree. But I think for me, I'm interested. There were some comments Kathleen Kennedy has said recently that made me question certain things, especially why the Kenobi show was kind of almost put on hold for almost an entire year. Which is basically that they wanted to do a more hopeful, uplifting story with the character, and it's tricky to do that considering after Revenge of the Sith, so they went back to do script changes. So I am worried about that, because it should be a dark time. Almost a lot of Jedi were killed and etc. But I digress. I want to see how they approach this character, and really specifically how Obi-Wan grows into the character that we know in the original trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to what you're saying as far as, like, the whole tonality of it all, right? Like, I think at the very least, if they walk a sort of tightrope between, like, being hopeful and, like, being dark, like, I think something like this should lean a bit more towards the darker end of things. But we'll just have to wait and see as far as that, I was also kind of intrigued to find out that Hayden Christensen is returning to play Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. Now, it's weird, like, we know him as Anakin Skywalker, but I remember a lot of people, like, weren't as crazy about his performance, so I think bringing him back for this is kind of weird. It seems like a bad move, but it seems like a good move at the same time.
I think this is honestly a pretty great move. I personally like it. I think it makes sense to kind of have Vader coming back, but more ideally, I think it would be better if he was just a looming shadow. We know he's out there. There's mentions and maybe slight glimpses. He's one of the most powerful Sith Lords during this time too, and the most feared. So I think it makes sense for Vader to coming back. It's just a matter of how much are they going to use Vader. Is he going to be something like we're not going to see him at all till the finale, like they did with Star Wars Rogue One? So we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. So, one thing that I'm kind of wary of, because like the story takes place at a point where we kind of know what happens to Obi-Wan at the end, right? So it's not like we're looking to see so much far as like, you know, what happens at the end of the series, because we know what happens to him in like the overall timeline. But I'm sure it'll still be engaging, even if we know what happens to him. Like, it looks visually solid like the other Star Wars shows. If it's one thing they have been consistent on, it's that. So we'll just have to see like how this one turns out. It premieres exclusively on Disney Plus on May 25th, 2022, which ironically enough is the 45th anniversary of when the original Star Wars premiered in theaters in 1977. So I think it's nice that they're doing that. So for all you guys that are listening with us, do you have any thoughts on the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer and the series as a whole? I'm sure you had to have heard about it by now, because considering anything Star Wars, whether you're a fan or not, you had to have heard about it. So leave your comments wherever it is that you can.